Welcome to the WWE Podcast, your number one source for the latest in WWE news and straightforward analysis. Are you ready to get this thing going?
Give me a hell yeah! I said give me a hell yeah!
Then let's get this show started right now.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the WWE Podcast. Thanks for joining us here on this week in review, and big week in WWE. Bobby Lashley is our new WWE Champion, as we all know, and Apollo Crews has regained an accent. So has he been faking his American accent this entire time to go back to his Nigerian accent? I've never seen an accent go the reverse way. We've seen stars lose accents. Lana lost hers magically. Kofi Kingston lost his Jamaican accent magically. I mean, so I've never seen it go the reverse. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I want to be angry about it, laugh about it, or think it's actually an attribute to Apollo Crews that he now has a Nigerian accent, and we're all supposed to believe that he was not speaking his normal voice for the last, how many years? He's been in WWE, 7, 8 years, more. I am, however, at least glad that they addressed it. WWE could have easily, and I wouldn't have put it past them, sadly, to just dismiss it and pretend that he's not speaking, with an accent. It would be as if me, who I am my descent is mostly French and Canadian and a little bit of German, and Irish, kind of a mutt. But if I had gone up to, say, Canada, and I just start speaking with kind of a French-American accent, and I'm just saying, oh yeah, I'm just going back to who I truly am, and you can't just adopt another culture's accent and call it your own suddenly. I understand he's from Nigerian descent. I get it. And I think it's working well for Apollo. Don't get me wrong. I think this is one of the most important times of his career, if not the most important time of his career. I like the way he's delivering promos. I think he's been clearly underutilized the last several years. But again, it would be as if anybody, say you're Irish, right? Say you're Ireland is where your descendants are from. And you go there and you just start speaking with an Irish accent as an American, even though you speak the way you hear me speak with, quote, an American accent. It's kind of bizarre. I don't know. Part of me wants to rant about this. Part of me understands it. And the other part actually enjoys it. So wherever he picked this accent from, the Island of Misfit Toys, perhaps he can give Kofi his accent back and Lana back her accent for being, Russian. I don't know. This is very weird. Has anybody ever seen this before? Or am I the only one that has picked up this little nugget of information that nothing to my knowledge in my brain remembers a accent just being adopted by somebody who's changing their gimmick from heel to face to heel, whatever. I've never seen this. So I'm going to leave it be. I'll go with it for now. It is very bizarre. I figured he would just quote his grandfather again. And if he quotes his grandfather with a Nigerian accent, that makes sense. Because that's how his grandfather likely spoke. Now, did Apollo Crews actually spend time in Nigeria? Was he born there? Was he raised there? Maybe I missed it. If I'm going to go with the assumption he was. If he was, I'm a little bit more in tune to allowing him to just suddenly speak like this. If he's not, and he just maybe visits every now and then and was born in America, but maybe visits his grandfather and the rest of his extended family over there, then I would say no. You can't just adopt that individual's or that culture's accent and call it your own, even if you are from that particular descent. It's weird. It's just weird. But again, all that said, I still really enjoy Apollo Crews and what he's done so far in the last 2 weeks. He's more relevant than ever, challenging Big E next week, as he announced that Big E is going to be returning to SmackDown next week. And I think that's a good thing. Frankly, I think he's more interesting than Big E is. and has been for many, many months. Big E is just Big E. He's kind of this just spin-off of the New Day. He has yet to really break away from that group's just stench on him, as I always say. He's still got the New Day vibes to him. I understand he's different music, not coming out with the rainbow colors, but he's still wacky, zany Big E. It's been the same guy for many years. So Apollo Crews feels fresh. Apollo Crews is a very well-delivered promo. One that I bet you a lot of us were wondering if it was in there, and guess what it is? The answer is yes. So, does he take the Intercontinental Championship from Big E? There's a hell of an argument to be made there. There's a hell of an argument. Plus, Apollo Crews has backup. The camo dudes. He has Nigerian military on his back, or looking out for his back. So, I'm cool with that. I like heels when they have backup. Not all the time. They don't need to always have it, but in this case for Apollo, my God, does he feel more relevant now than ever, right? It's great. It's great. I love what Apollo Crews has done and the creative that has gone with it. It is, it's very, very, it's exciting if you're an Apollo Crews fan that has watched the basic obscurity that he's been in the last, my God, 5 years. I mean, yeah, he had a U.S. title run that meant nothing, but now he has gotten front and center. He is front and center with Big E in the Intercontinental Championship picture, and he feels like a true contender. It's cool to watch right now. It's really cool to watch, and I'm big on Apollo right now. I hope you guys are too. Let me know too, by the way, what you think. Not just about WWE, but about the show at realwwepodcast@gmail.com. And welcome to the show. I hope you think about subscribing and telling a friend, or supporting the show by giving us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can give us a review. It does help out a lot. Or you can go on Patreon and get an ad-free experience at patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Search the WWE Podcast on the Patreon app, and you can get yourself ad-free the entire library. No more skipping ahead or sighing that there's another ad break. Trust me, I get it. I listen to podcasts myself. I even listened back to my own podcast to make sure that they're listenable. And I get the ad breaks, guys. I know I hear you loud and clear. I think a lot of podcasts that monetize their show hear it loud and clear, but if you're monetizing your show, you're making a living. And I understand the frustration with the ads. But you can make that go away with $1 a month. I think that's a freaking steal, when you ask me. So, and speaking of Patreon, I'd like to welcome the latest patron to the show, and his name is The Legend Killer. Now, obviously that's not his real name, but that is his username. So, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to conversing with you about wrestling, and enjoy your library, hundreds of shows, ad-free. And you'll notice I'm doing the Week in Review solo tonight. Yes, I am. But that is because I did not have time for a guest this evening. I had other personal commitments and just family stuff. I mean, like, it's flat out. I had just too much to do, and I wouldn't be able to commit to our normal time of recording, and it would have been kind of hit and miss. And I actually didn't watch SmackDown until about half an hour before recording this show. So I always feel so disconnected when I'm on Twitter, which you can follow me at wrestling_audio, by the way. I feel so disconnected for like 2 days, because SmackDown happens on Friday. I try to avoid social media, but I also want to connect with you guys on what happened. I really am I understand. I would love to be able to watch it live and be able to do it that night, but I don't have cable, and I don't have the Hulu Live TV, so it's not easy to do. But it feels like it's been a long time since I've recorded. I don't know why this week. But, by the way, guys, Mimi is doing the AEW review now. So check that out. The AEW review. She'll be reviewing AEW Revolution. The big reveal as to what former WWE star is going to AEW. There's been so much speculation from, my God, The Rock to Goldberg to, which ain't going to happen, to who else? I forget. There's been like a whole list of people. Kane. I mean, it's been insane. So if you're interested in such things, Mimi will be on it for you guys. I know that she does always a great job, and I'm sure you'll enjoy what she has to offer, not just in the AEW reviews now, but also her highs and lows of the week, which are available every single, usually Sunday morning, late Saturday night, usually Sunday morning, that those will go up. So, all right. Well, let's get into something else here, guys, that happened this week. And I already did my Raw review, so I do want to touch on SmackDown, and Michael Ritter does a great job of covering it, but I want to throw my 2 cents in here. Reginald. Reginald is a very interesting dude. The sommelier for Carmella, the former sommelier now for Carmella. He popped on the scene as kind of this servant role to Carmella, where he would just basically bring her the finest champagne that apparently was just stocked in the arena every week. I mean, I don't know where he was going to get it, but he would come in and just basically give her champagne and just kiss her feet and just not say much and kind of be there for her. And he has taken a liking up to Sasha Banks, who continually rejects him. He has been beaten up by Sasha Banks, unprovoked, might I add, many times. This past week is no exception. Just really trying to win the graces of Sasha Banks, and he gets whacked across the face for it. I don't understand what this is about for Reginald. I don't get it. He is a entertaining character as much as he's getting beat up by the women, and he can't defend himself because the men just aren't allowed to ever retaliate against the women, and they're apparently just punching bags in the PG environment, which is what it is. I could rant about that as well, but I don't know. I'm going to go off the deep end if I talk about that. But he's been an interesting character for several weeks, months now. And he's been in a decent promo. Interesting. He just has something that makes you want to listen to what he has to say. He's extremely athletic in the ring. Again, just can't figure out the 130-pound Sasha Banks for whatever reason. Couldn't solve that puzzle. And gets berated by every woman he comes across. Slammed doors in faces, kicked, in the face, slapped in the face, champagne in the face. I mean, you name it. For whatever reason, this guy is just the punching bag of the women's division. I don't get it. Then, on his way out this week, as he is carrying his luggage, rolling his suitcase out of the arena, we have Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax give him one last, kick in the backside before he heads out the door. Shayna Baszler did anyway. And then Nia Jax kind of put Shayna Baszler aside because she wanted to attack him for some reason. I don't know what it is about Reginald that makes every woman want to just wail on him. I don't understand this. But Nia Jax said, wait, do you see what I see? He's kind of cute. So let me just put your mind in a different role here. Think about this in a different lens. Imagine if the roles were reversed. Think about that. I'm not even putting or talking about the physicality against Reginald, which is really unexplainable, about how many times the women just beat the holy hell out of Reginald, who's there to just take bumps for the women's division on a weekly basis. I can make a whole argument on that, but I'm going to take even that out of this to make my argument harder to make. Imagine, again, if say Reginald was a woman. Say he was a woman, which I guess, by the way, you can just say you're a woman, and you are these days. So let's pretend that he is a traditional female before we decided that you can just announce you're a woman or a man, and you are, okay? Before all that. Now, if Reginald was doing that, and this is a woman again, and you had, say, I don't know, pick a male star, come up to that individual and say, stop picking on them, stop bullying them. He's kind of cute, she's kind of cute. Imagine how quickly the script flips and people are outraged if it was the other way around. I mean, I'm not getting into politics here. I'm kind of bordering on it, but it's a little bit of a double standard here. I don't understand what the whole point of this Reginald punching bag and now objectifying him, which is what they're doing. I'm not offended, okay? I'm not a professional victim that people try to play today. I mean, that's just, today it's, who can achieve the highest victimhood? It's essentially what we're after today. Or being offended on behalf of other people. Okay, that is not what I'm saying. I could care less in terms of actually personally being offended or angry at WWE for this. But I'm trying to point out the double standard that Reginald has right now with WWE and the women, and just constantly getting his ass kicked. And now, more importantly, again, I took the physicality part out, just the objectifying him. All of a sudden, now Nia Jax is kind of standing over him, looming, saying he's kind of cute. Just even something like that. Imagine if it was a woman there and a man stood over her and said that. Yep. It would be a fun day on Twitter and a hell of a day at the PR office at WWE. So okay, I think I've teetered on politics more than I'd like to. But it's really just hard to ignore in terms, even storyline. It's weird. I don't know where this Reginald thing's going. I like Reginald. Now I've spent the first 15 minutes talking about him, but I wanted to point it out because it really was glaring this week, and I'm tired of seeing him get his ass kicked by women just to take bumps for women. For what reason? To show that they're tough, that they can beat on this guy that doesn't retaliate? I don't understand. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I'm not angry about it. I'm puzzled. I'm puzzled by what this whole thing is. Okay, well, let's move on. If I haven't already pissed off half my audience right now, I'm sure I'll get some feedback on that. That's going to be a fun mailbag this week. Can't wait. Bring them on, guys. It's going to be fun. Okay, on to some more serious things that happened. Buddy Murphy. I guess more serious in the sense that Buddy Murphy is trying to get back with Seth? Please, God, no. What are we doing? What are we doing with Buddy Murphy? Why don't we just give him his first name back, by the way? I mean, if he's going to go back with Seth, why don't we just make it full circle and give him his damn first name back if we're heading there? How many times do we need to see Murphy and Seth get back together, break up, get back together, break up, get back together, break up, and then now Seth rejects him after Murphy offered his assistance to take care of the Cesaro problem? Which, by the way, he already had a match with him anyway. I don't know. But he lost the match to Cesaro, who's been on a roll lately. You expected that in terms of where things are headed and the all-important corporate momentum word that's been going on with Cesaro, but it's true. So he loses, and that leaves Murphy, I don't know where. Murphy is just floundering. Let's hope that he stays the hell away from the Mysterios, by the way. I don't understand that. It was weird. We also got originally a tag match, which was King Corbin and Sami Zayn versus the Street Profits. And it ended up being King Corbin versus Montez Ford in a singles match, and then Sami Zayn versus Angelo Dawkins in a singles match. And this was, it's fine because they're trying to fill time, so I guess 2 singles matches last longer than a tag team match, so you now have 2 matches that you can kill time with. King Corbin didn't want to tag with Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn just continues to think that the world is conspiring against him, which is, again, it's running a little thin now. I'm still enjoying it, but maybe something needs to be added, or maybe Sami Zayn needs to be elevated a little bit. I don't know what it is, but Sami's starting to feel a little bit stale. As good as he is, and I still find him entertaining, it just kind of feels like it's time to take that next step, to do that next thing, whatever that is. I'm not saying get rid of the conspiracy theory and his documentary team, which, by the way, I really hope they're actually recording a documentary and they air it. I hope that it's actually happening. I know it's probably just a farce and it's just for a show and they're not actually documenting anything and they're there just stand there and pretend that the camera's on. But I hope it's an actual documentary. But I just feel like Sami Zayn's been stagnant for many weeks now, and it feels like there's something that needs to be moved on with Sami, and I don't know quite what that is. But King Corbin defeats Montez Ford after a distraction from Sami Zayn cost Ford the match. King Corbin hit End of Days, and gets the win. Then Sammy asks for Corbin to return the favor. Sammy accidentally gets knocked into Corbin. That sets Corbin off. So now he tells Corbin, or Corbin tells Sammy, you're on your own against Angelo Dawkins. And in this match, Angelo Dawkins beats Sami Zayn after we got a distraction by Angelo Dawkins getting physically involved or getting in an argument with the camera crew that Sammy was there with, and that leads to a roll-up, because you got to have roll-ups, but don't worry, there are more roll-ups to come in this show. Okay, Dominic Mysterio versus Chad Gable. Michael Cole accidentally did say in this match that it was a big win for a much-needed win, I should say. I believe that's exactly what he said for Chad Gable. I mean, he just misspoke. I'm sure he meant Dominic Mysterio. This was, I mean, it was fine. Look, I'm no Dominic Mysterio fan. I think that he is good in the ring, much better than most people thought. I just think he's got the personality of the microphone in front of me. At least that's what I've seen. I'm not saying that he doesn't have it in him. I'm not saying that it doesn't live there somewhere underneath the surface. I'm not saying that he maybe hasn't brought it out in the promo class and he knows what it is. He just, WWE management hasn't allowed him to really bring it out yet. But from what I've seen, he is boring on the mic. So he has all the luchador stuff. His dad taught him. But what his dad can't teach him is what's inside of him. Whatever is inside of him needs to come out. Because I could care less about Dominic Mysterio winning matches. Because I'm not invested. I don't live vicariously. I can't relate to anything Dominic Mysterio is. Other than leaning on Daddy every time he comes out. And Daddy, give him, basically giving him a noogie on his head every time he comes out. Like, attaboy, Dominic. I mean, that's it. He's leaning on the Mysterio name. He's good in the ring. Don't get me wrong. That's where he is making his money right now, is in the ring, because he's good in the ring to very good. And I remember the match he had with Seth Rollins over the summer was good to very good. I think he surprised, again, a lot of people with how far along he was. He still looks like he's a 16-year-old kid, though, in high school. I mean, he just has that very young-looking face. So perhaps to fix that, grow out his hair, grow out a beard. I mean, there's things you can do. I think there's a few things working against him, but I just don't feel his character. I think that's the biggest thing, other than being Rey Mysterio's son and Daddy coming out every single match. That's it. And okay, let's see. Again, Dominic Mysterio, he did defeat Chad Gable, and we also had Rey Mysterio get a little bit of revenge on Otis last week by doing a senton on the announce table to Otis. Otis, I guess, is the heel now with the Alpha Academy and Chad Gable. So he's not just Gable anymore. He's just Chad Gable. I guess they gave him his name back. Oy. Bianca Belair defeats Shayna Baszler relatively quickly. Now, I have no problem with this match. This is a money match. I just have issues that this match could be pay-per-view main event worthy. And I think it's just that it's not right now because they're not in the right place at the right time. On paper, if you didn't know the stories going on with Shayna Baszler and the stories going on with Bianca Belair, then you would say, yeah, this could be a main event. But the problem is, Shayna Baszler is stuck in a tag team with Nia Jax, of which I'm ready to have that dissolve. I'm ready for them to go their own way. I think Nia needs Shayna more than Shayna needs Nia. I'll say that right now, because Shayna Baszler is a proven single star in the women's division and a future women's champion. It's crazy how she hasn't been women's champion yet on either brand. But so again, I'm ready for that team to dissolve. But again, this matchup is main event worthy. But you have, again, Shayna in a tag team, and then you have Bianca Belair in a collision course with Sasha Banks, presumably. Has she actually decided? No, she did. She did decide, right? Am I losing my mind to Sasha Banks? Yeah. Okay. So she's on a collision course for WrestleMania with Sasha Banks. So they're just in two different places, two different storylines. But on any other time, I mean, they could really do some good stuff with these two, really good stuff with these two in the future. So I'll just say that. So this match was underwhelming, but underwhelming as expected given the two stories that they're both in that are radically different. So I thought it was fine. But when you look at the killer Shayna Baszler was, it could anger a lot of fans that she is being beaten easily. It wasn't a squash, but it wasn't exactly a to the limit match. Everybody takes everybody to the limit. Well, not in this case. In this case, it was a fairly solid, relatively easy win for Bianca Belair. She hit the KOD and got a huge victory, it probably was one of the biggest victories she's had. So after this, though, we had Belair took issue with Reginald, who was at ringside with Sasha, trying to win her over. With Sasha Banks again. Sasha just slapped Reginald into oblivion, and I think he got shoved by Shayna Baszler too, and he sold it like, he had been shot with a rifle. I mean, it was insane. Okay. What else happened here? Cesaro again defeats Murphy with his swing. Now, look, I'm a huge Cesaro fan too. I think Cesaro's a future world champion. I would love to see Cesaro versus Roman Reigns down the line. It's clearly not going to happen until after WrestleMania, given we see the path now to WrestleMania. But can we do without the swing? Is it really that entertaining? I don't know. I don't find it to me, it's not a crowd pleaser. It makes somebody dizzy. I wouldn't want to take it. There's no way to fake being dizzy from this move. Are we just going to go every week and decide how, can Cesaro beat his record this week? Oh, he's at 21, 22 revolutions, 23. I don't know. To me, it's not a crowd pleasing. It's not a pleasing move to me. It's not devastating. It's just, you make the guy dizzy. I mean, you could have the same effect by sitting the guy on his ass and just spinning him around like you're in gym class in third grade. I mean, it's the same effect. Are you going to do it until they pass out? I don't know. I'm not a Cesaro swing guy. I never found the entertainment value in that. Does anybody else see it? Maybe you guys see it. Maybe you see the entertainment value or the wrestling value, if there is such a thing with this move of the swing. I don't get it. I don't hate it. I'm just kind of like, It's a move that's just, it's a gimmick move. It's not supposed to be, to me, devastating. I don't know. Okay. Anyway. All right. Let's move on. Of course, we got the Apollo Crews segment, demanding a title rematch between himself and Big E for the Intercontinental Championship, which we know somehow, some way that we will have Big E accept. All right. Then we get Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso in a steel cage match. And we also, again, let me set the stage. Daniel Bryan at the beginning of the show comes out and says he's the most ambitious he's ever been, and there was a test WWE did years ago to bring everybody in, and you score in this test, it would show how ambitious you are, and Bryan scored really low, but the test can't define how ambitious I am. I mean, that was weird. That was weird. I didn't get that. Why would they bring in? I don't know if that's true or not. I don't think it would be. Do you really need a test to show how ambitious you are? What if you score low? Okay, what does that mean? You get less time on TV? Is it just to gauge your overall passion of the stars, the talent you have on your roster? Like, I don't understand. That'd be a really weird thing to do. If that's actually true. I don't think it is. But if it's actually true that you would actually test your talent to decide and determine and quantify, which is the best way I could put it, somehow quantify your talent's ambition? For what? If you know them, you hired them, you would think they have ambition. That's why they're there. Okay. Michael Cole, though, comes out at the beginning, too. I want to point this out. He asked why Daniel Bryan is chasing the Universal Championship rather than having the tag team match. Wow. Just, the level of journalisming that we have Michael Cole ask. I mean, the intelligence level of that question, it's not Michael Cole's fault. But it's kind of a silly question, isn't it? Gee, why would you give up this tag team match that means nothing with no consequences for a championship match? Why, Daniel? That was a stupid question. I know the goal that they were trying to get to of explaining to the fans, and I appreciate that, as to why they did have this tag team match, and now it's just Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at Fastlane, which wasn't official, again, of course, until Jey Uso and Daniel Bryan fought this past week, or that later that night in a steel cage, and if Daniel Bryan won, he would go to Fastlane. But we all knew that it was a foregone conclusion. I mean, you'd have to be a totally new wrestling fan to not understand and see what's happening here. But it was a silly question by Michael Cole. But again, the fiery promo from Daniel Bryan, that was probably the best promo Daniel Bryan's had for many, many years. And because he admitted openly that he took the last year off, put himself in the back burner, and focused on his family, and let other stars take the limelight. And I agree, I think that's real. I believe that's true. That's not a work. I think that is exactly true. He focused on his being a dad. Why shouldn't he? Of course he would. So I think there was a lot of truth in that promo. Yeah, he slipped up a few times. I think that Daniel Bryan, he was a little bit rusty in his delivery at times. But when's the last time he's had to deliver a promo like that? It's been a long time. So I'm excusing any of the rust he had and the stumbles and the misspeaking, all of that. I am forgiving all of that because of the fact that he simply hasn't had to be tasked with that for many, many months or years at this point. So he's talking about how he's ambitious and he's found his ambition. I'm ambitious. I mean, fine. I'm cool with that. Whatever. I'll go with it. You know, I want to believe that Daniel Bryan could beat Roman Reigns. I do. I want to believe that. So they're doing their damnedest to make the fans believe that while most probably feel that they know that Roman Reigns is going to retain this close to WrestleMania, that they want to make you as close to doubting yourself as possible, which is not easy to do, but I like that they're trying. They have to try. They have to try, because if you don't, who the hell's going to want to watch Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns at Fastlane? And I'm shocked, too, that they're not even bringing up their past. Now, I know it's not for WrestleMania, the WrestleMania main event, so you don't need to dig too far. It's just really a stepping stone to the ultimate goal, which is just get to WrestleMania, right? Don't change titles. We just got to fill this pay-per-view. Let's get to WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan's a nice little B-plus opponent. But why aren't they drawing on the past? These two faced off at Fastlane in 2015. Why aren't we talking about this? Why aren't we talking about bringing up the Royal Rumble in 2015 as well? Why are we not bringing any of this up? It's, to me, right there. It's low-hanging fruit, guys. Pick it off. Eat it. It's right there. Why are you not drawing on your past? There's a lot of history between Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, especially when it comes to fan reaction. And now Daniel Bryan could throw that in Roman Reigns' face now that he's a heel. Now that Roman Reigns is a heel, Daniel Bryan doesn't have to protect Roman Reigns and not bring up that fact that the fans were turning on you. They never liked you. We don't have to protect Roman anymore. He's supposed to be hated. So bring it up. You know, the reaction, Roman, I remember that reaction you got and filled it up. I mean, bring it up. When I got eliminated, people knew it was my year. What are we doing? WWE, you have this awesome, real story right there. Unless they're somehow saving it for a rainy day. I don't know if they're saving it for after WrestleMania. I doubt they'll go back to this match. But I don't know why they're not bringing it up now. People would, I would assume that people would love this because it brings back real events from fans' real emotion at that time with the corporate selection and the fan selection and when they clashed. Why aren't we bringing this up? There's no reason. It doesn't always have to be about ambition. They're like kind of creating something out of thin air when you don't need to, and you forgot that you have this whole foundation laid. You know, Edge and Roman don't have anything. I've said this before with my co-hosts. Edge and Roman have nothing. They have nothing other than a couple of spears on one another, which, okay, it's a wash. They've each gotten a spear. Wonderful. They don't have any history. They've got nothing. They are starting from ground zero. You don't need to do that with Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns. When you've got history, bring it up. So, okay. Well, let's see. We'll go on to the main event here. And I'll get to a little bit of Raw. Don't worry about that. I'm going to talk about Bobby Lashley and some other things. But since, again, I don't ever get to talk really about SmackDown on a detailed basis, I want to touch on it. Daniel Bryan defeats Jey Uso in a steel cage match, as if there were any doubt he would lose. Roman warned Jey Uso before the match that if you lose, you're going to embarrass yourself, you're going to embarrass your me, or embarrass you, you're going to embarrass your family and me. Always comes back to him, doesn't it? So Jey Uso does lose. So maybe he'll get 10 lashings for that, or a beat down, or whatever, and he'll just take it. But Daniel Bryan does tap out Jey Uso clean after he puts in the yes lock. So, also interestingly, we had Jey Uso grab the rope, but the rope was not enough to save him because there's no disqualifications, no rope break in a no disqualification match. So he taps out. It was a good match. I thought it was good, hard worked. Big bumps by those guys. I thought it was well done. Roman Reigns sitting at ringside was a nice touch. And we get Daniel Bryan winning. Now, I am, out of all the stipulations, all the silly nonsense that WWE sometimes does with their matches that make no sense, or they just kind of cherry pick when they want rules to apply for the sake of the story and then don't apply them when the story doesn't call for it. I mean, there's no consistency in application of rules. But here's one rule that I would like to have just kind of go away. Forever. Forever. How about this? I am proposing this over everything. Even the stupidity of every year when I call for the Royal Rumble, having people who are eliminated come in and eliminate legal competitors who are not yet eliminated and count that as a real elimination. Maybe even up there with the Survivor Series nonsense every year, the exhibition Survivor Series pay-per-view that ruins WrestleMania main events like Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre for the sake of nothing, by the way. It's right up there with that. I mean, it's at the level of Survivor Series stupidity. You could maybe argue it's even more ridiculous. Is the steel cage stipulation that you can just open the door and walk out to win, or climb over the cage to get out? Why would that be a way to win the match? Like, why should that be a thing to win? Because isn't the point of the steel cage to keep you in? And yeah, we all know you can climb it, but why should you being able to climb it and escape it be a method of victory when the very purpose of the cage is to keep you and your competitor inside the cage so that no outside interference can take place? I think that the door bothers me more than even over the top. Even over the top is dumb, but opening the door should just be banned outright forever. It is ridiculous that these guys can just walk over, tell the referee open the door, and they just walk out and they win. Because there are hundreds of opportunities during the match that aren't taken advantage of. And they only do it when it's the most inconvenient time to try to escape, when somebody grabs their leg and pulls them back in. But when somebody gets beat down in this corner and the guy's kind of just scuffling around or mocking his opponent, you can just go over to the ref and be like, hey, open the door, and you just walk out and you win. That's it. It's such an exposure of the business on top of it. That's, I think, really what gets me. But again, let me balance this out, because I know it sounds like I'm just complaining a lot during this show, but I had some things I just absolutely wanted to get off my chest. Reginald, the steel cage stipulations, not the match itself. Daniel Bryan, Jey Uso did a great job, and kudos to Jey Uso, who has truly become main event Jey Uso over the last several months. It's true, and I really applaud both men. I'm looking forward to the match between Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns at Fastlane. But again, I want to be honest with you guys, as we always are. We straight shoot here. We don't have any affiliation with WWE. We're not state-run radio. We are simply fans making podcasts for fans and talking straight about things that we love and don't. So, that said, I am looking forward to the Roman Reigns-Daniel Bryan match at WrestleMania. I just think it would be a lot better if they pulled from the history that's sitting right in front of their face. Okay, moving on to something I really love. And this is something I did, of course, talk about on Raw, the Raw review on Tuesday evening, and many other podcasts did too, and people all over social media. Bobby Lashley's victory. Bobby Lashley winning the WWE Championship for the first time ever in his career. It's still awesome to say that. I think Bobby Lashley is well overdue. I think that's a very commonly held view about Bobby Lashley. But the question is, how long does he hold it? And how long would you allow him to hold it? How long should he hold it? There's cases to be made he should drop it quick. I don't think those cases are strong. I think the cases are much stronger to have him have a long-term run. And yes, that even means if Brock Lesnar returns. If he returns to face Bobby Lashley, of course that match has to happen. I think it will. When? I don't know. After WrestleMania, perhaps. If Bobby Lashley retains. To me, though, again, this is about making a championship stick. Bobby Lashley has never won it before, right? Bobby Lashley has never been WWE champion. So why would we play hot potato with Bobby Lashley? And to me, hot potato is a 2-month or less title reign. That's hot potato. That's how I define hot potato with any championship. And of course, I'm not talking about the 24/7 title, which is the joke of a championship. I'm talking about, championships that the men play with, not the boys. So that, to me, is important. The length of Bobby Lashley's run here is extremely important. I think the length of his run is going to be more telling than the build-up and victory that he had to win the championship. Because it's going to show you whether this was a run that they had planned for a while, or this is a run that just kind of fell in their lap. They're going to go with it, and they're going to have him drop the belt to Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania and call it a day. I think that's a big mistake. I loved Drew McIntyre as champion. I think he's amazing. He's been a talent that he will forever be the face of the pandemic era. Forever. And I'm sure that's not what he wanted. But he is. He will forever be. And I'm sure he'll get another long championship run with actual fans in an arena, which we're all looking forward to. But Bobby Lashley, to me, is the one that should remain champion. I mean, when I'm looking at the champions right now, when I look at the champions up and down the roster, maybe I should make this a whole show, is who out of the champions right now should drop the belts at WrestleMania. Whether it's Intercontinental, United States, and obviously WWE and Universal. First of all, WWE and Universal, I would have them retain at WrestleMania. I'm a big fan of changing the belts at Mania, having babyfaces overcome the monster heel, climbing, scratching, clawing to get to the top, and they finally do, and it's a brilliant moment. It's a WrestleMania moment that we have to be told is a WrestleMania moment, which immediately makes it a non-WrestleMania moment and takes you out of the moment. How about that for a mouthful? Anybody else agree with me on that, by the way? When WWE at WrestleMania says, this is a WrestleMania moment, how quickly does that take you out of the actual moment that they're trying to produce in front of your eyes and tell you, instead of you just deciding for yourself it's a WrestleMania moment? Because we have to be told, because it's pre-produced. So instead of using our own brains, WWE feels we're too stupid to recognize it's an actual moment, so they make sure that the moments they've produced are actually labeled as moments and not rely on the fans to organically make it a moment. Boy, I hope I made sense there. I feel like I got it out right. But it's the worst thing in the world when they tell you it's a WrestleMania moment. Stop it. We decide, not you. We, as fans. Because you can produce all those WrestleMania moments you want. What if it flops? Fans aren't going to accept it as a WrestleMania moment. WrestleMania moments happen organically, or at least they're produced, and then see if the fans take the bait. And maybe they do. More often than not, they probably will take the bait. But don't tell us it's a WrestleMania moment. Okay. But outside of the two major championships, which I think that they should retain, I'm good with the SmackDown Tag Team Champions of Rude and Ziggler, who have been really in hiding lately. I don't know where they've gone. They won the belts and then just took off. I don't know. I think they should retain. Raw Tag Team Champions, I'd probably have them drop it. Raw Women's Champion, probably drop it to Charlotte, rather. SmackDown, it's almost certain it's going to be dropped to Bianca Belair. To me, that is the most certain ending to almost any match on the card as it stands right now. I mean, I got 5 weeks, guys. Long time. 6 weeks, even. 5 weeks, 6 weeks? 5. So we still got a little bit of time, but to me, it's beyond certain that Bianca Belair wins at WrestleMania. United States Champion probably drops it, because that kind of goes in and out of relevancy. I mean, you got Matt Riddle, which WWE never planned on giving him the belt, but they had to give it to somebody, and it was either him or John Morrison. So they gave it to Riddle instead of Morrison. Had Keith Lee been involved, Keith Lee would be United States Champion right now. And then we got an Intercontinental Champion Big E. That's a hard one. If it's Big E in a multi-person match, which they seem to inherently do, just every year at WrestleMania for the mid-card belts, then it's going to be a more difficult one to predict. But how about that for an early WrestleMania prediction? Based on the assumptive card. Nothing's been solidified in stone, of course, other than Edge and Roman Reigns that they're trying to tease as not a thing that may or may not happen. But WWE is not going to advertise Edge versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania and then not follow through. So I think that is a foregone conclusion. Daniel Bryan doesn't win the championship. He may win the match, maybe by DQ or something, or Roman Reigns gets counted out, something silly. But Roman Reigns is going to walk out with the belt. So we can play technicalities here that Daniel may win the match, but he's not winning the belt. And it's going to be Edge and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. If you think Vince is going to go with Daniel Bryan versus Edge at WrestleMania, I don't know what to tell you. So, Women's SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Or I'm sorry, just the Women's Tag Team Champions. How are Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair immediately given another Women's Tag Team title match? Was that ever explained? They're dysfunctional. They didn't win the last time. So what automatically qualifies them for a SmackDown or just a Women's Tag Team Championship? I mean, if I'm the Riot Squad, I'm pissed. How do they just get awarded that? I don't get it. It's the same. It's a rematch from the last pay-per-view. That's all it is. And it's all just, again, to build tension between Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. Period. And Sasha Banks, who I know we have a lot of fans who have major crushes on Sasha Banks here on this show, continues to just play heel on SmackDown. I mean, I can't even believe that they are trying to position her as a babyface anymore. It's laughable. I know some of you don't care. What does it matter? It matters because that's how you tell good stories. I don't want ambiguity. I don't want gray areas. I don't get so enamored with a character that I don't care if they're doing things that I like or don't like. That's what makes the whole story engaging. Who to root for. To me, anyway. But Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks continues to be extremely unlikable. And I mean that in the most complimentary way because she's a great heel. I just don't like her as a face. And by the way, if you've seen her on the Broken Skull sessions, if you haven't, go see it. I only missed the last 10 minutes. I haven't seen the last 10 minutes or so. But by the way, Broken Skull Sessions is such a great show. But she's even obnoxious on the show that she's being herself in. There's a lot of the on-air Sasha Banks that you see in the conversation with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And she's obnoxious even talking to Austin. Not outright turned up to 11, which is what she's doing on air, of course. I get it, it's what you do. But boy, has she taken her personality and brought it to the on-air persona of who Sasha Banks is. Like Mercedes, her real name, as we all know, is truly Sasha Banks, turned up to 10 or 11. And she is just, I don't know, she's so full of herself, and you can see it. And some of the things she said between the conversation with Austin and her, it was a little bit eye-rolling and almost secondhand embarrassing with some of the things she said. Go watch it, you'll see what I'm talking about. She's not overtly arrogant to try to put on a show or a promo. She is just herself, which makes it even more concerning if you're trying to make her a babyface. So, I don't know. She's kind of a weird cat. I don't know. She's just weird in the sense that she doesn't talk to Austin, I feel like the rest of the roster did. Even Bayley was more real. As human beings, we have that BS sensor. And either she is truly like that, or she's didn't know how to act and kind of felt like she needed to have some portion of Sasha Banks on the camera and not all Mercedes, so she had to bring a little bit of a face mask there. I don't know. It's very revealing about who she is as a person. But she does talk about a lot of interesting stuff. She talks about why she took those 5 months off, what it was like working with Bayley, the Hell in a Cell, and why she never wants to work one again. She does talk about a lot of neat stuff. All right. Did I say neat? Oh my goodness. That's how you know it's too late. I never say neat. At least not on purpose. So somebody else is controlling me right now. All right. Well, that's all for now, guys. I know it's mostly SmackDown, but if you want to hear my Raw review, my full Raw review, it is available on this feed. A lot of big stuff coming up, guys. Obviously, Fastlane is in 2 weeks from tonight, which will be fun, and that'll be the last stop of the road to WrestleMania. It'll be vaunted as such. They'll always open the show by saying, "Welcome to WWE Fastlane, the final stop on the road to WrestleMania," which I know, I get it. And so it's going to be a big week, I think, guys. Yes, we have 2 weeks left, but Randy Orton, The Fiend, is building to WrestleMania. I think we'll get some more pentagrams and just evil stuff from Alexa Bliss. Maybe have Randy puke up something, I don't know, orange this week, and pick your color. But it's going to be a fun week, guys. I hope everyone continues to tune in. Stay here for your WrestleMania previews and reviews and Fastlane reviews and previews. We actually, I thought we only did like 6 shows a week. For some reason, it was like 6 shows a week was stuck in my head. We actually do 9 shows a week here. 9. And that's a credit to not me, just me. It is to our co-hosts and hosts on this show that dedicate their time to helping make this a success. Everyone from Michael Ritter, who does an excellent job of SmackDown, to Anthony DeMarco and covering his WWE rivalries, which, by the way, guys, he did HBK versus Hogan and did a brilliant job of it this past week. Go check it out. To Mimi's Highs and Lows of the Week, who also covers our AEW. To Michael Gross, who pops on on a semi-regular basis. Mary Grader, Ashley Mann, Zach Smith covering NXT. We have a great group of people, and I hope you guys check out all their shows. I do 4 out of the 9 shows, so a little less than half, although I can't do 4.5 shows to make it exactly half. I either do 4 or 5, so I have to say I do less than half of the shows on this network. So I would encourage you, though, to check out all of them, as I think we cover a lot of different bases, and I like the diversity that we have on the show, of women on the show, female voices on the show, I think really help. And not just because they're women, but because they also have really good views about how wrestling is today, what their thoughts are, the good, the bad, everything. And so, anyway, I'm rambling. Guys, please go check us out on patreon.com and search the WWE Podcast if you want an ad-free experience. Or just give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple. Or go to Amazon at our Amazon banner on our website. Click through there, and you can shop, and it kicks back a little bit to the show. Okay, guys, thank you. As always, I will be back Tuesday night with your Monday Night Raw review. And until then, I'll talk to you next time.